let's look at Boeing. First off, read this disclaimer carefully and do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. We can find Boeing under the Megatrend. I have put it in something I call mobile robots. If you look here at the average performance, it is, very significantly outperforming, the S&P 500, you name it. Boeing is here, I call it aerial vehicles. 126-ish% from the 52-week low, but it is the worst performing vis-a-vis the 52-week highs. That's the thing here with the Boeing. It was hit very hard by the lockdowns. But let's evaluate the different aspects here and come to some conclusion, bullish or bearish. So this is the website. They have, major commercial exposure. That's definitively been hit hard. They have defense, and they have space. Space is, of course, very, very interesting. Something I would like to see, but I don't see as far as the commercial aspect goes, that is drones. I do think that drones will be very big going forward. And Boeing, it would be really great for them to get exposure to that business. And that is, there's nothing confirmed, but there's been rumors that Boeing is definitively looking very closely at, transportation using drones, because they have a lot of expertise when it comes to aerial vehicles. And planes are becoming more and more robotic. So they are a leader in, mobile robotics. So yeah, those are some interesting areas. Looking at the seasonality, then it becomes very interesting actually, because if you look at the last 20 years, February, which is the current month, it is it is actually the strongest month. 75% of the time it closes higher than it opened. That's pretty good. You see that as far as the performance goes, you see that November is stronger, but it's a slightly lower percentage. But anyway, obviously the seasonality is very bullish. Looking here at the charts, this is the Giga picture, weekly data points, and we go way back here, to 1986. So in the huge picture, it's been bullish for Boeing, but something we can see is that there's been, multiple, major pullbacks. Of course, it's been hit by, global bear markets, but if you look here and compare, so here you have, the post.com bubble leading up to the housing crisis, and you had just a basic bull market here for Boeing. But ever since the financial crisis, you can see here by looking at the chart that Boeing kind of changed its nature. It went from being, buy the dip stock here, to now you need to actively manage it because it has these very deep pullbacks within, a global bull market. This pullback here as an example, that was minus 36, and that is pretty significant for, a very large cap stock like Boeing. And here, this is interesting because before the entire lockdown situation, Boeing kind of flatlined. You had many warning signs. You could certainly make the case that we have had, what you can call a rounding top pattern. And then, of course, you have the big crash. The question, of course, is whether, because the thing is that in finance, in investing, it's about buying low and selling high. Hence, when you see a chart like this, and you look at where we have been, you gotta ask yourself the question, is this an interesting level? One of the developments that I do find quite intriguing is that when we look at this purple 20-week moving average, it's been negative, resistance, now it has become support, and we have bounced off support. What was resistance can become support. That's interesting. There's actually a minus 45% negative correlation with S&P 500 long term. Looking at the RSI, we are basically pretty close to the neutral zone. We have seen, looking at history, that Boeing, it uses the entire RSI range. It goes up and down, up and down. It doesn't like extreme levels. So now we are really just pretty close to the middle. Looking here at the moving averages, we do have the blue 100-day moving average in this case that we have had as resistance that now seems to be a level where there is support. Something that is bearish is that looking here at the accumulation distribution, and that shows us that sellers are definitively here, they're basically drowning out the buyers. So that is an issue. You would ideally want to see it maybe flatline a bit, at least that there is some balance between buyers here and sellers. From a charting perspective, I would categorize this as speculatively bullish, but it is very speculative. There are still a lot of signs of weakness. Looking here at Finviz, they do draw these trend lines. I am a huge fan of looking at the analyst price target, and when you look at the current price, which is around $201-ish dollars, and the analyst price target, they do suggest a 14% upside. So that's somewhat bullish. When we look at the JETS ETF, the US global JETS, and look at the PE as an example, you have a 24 here. The PE for Boeing is 36. So Boeing has a significantly higher priced earnings. That's a bit of an issue. Dividend is almost meaningless when it comes to JETS. Saks.com are not feeling the love here for Boeing. They have a number for sell, F value, F growth, and F momentum. A VGM of F, and actually the entire industry is in the bottom 23%. Clearly that is bad news, but you could make a contrarian case that it's like they can't really downgrade Boeing much here. They can, of course, go from a number 4 sell to a 5 sell, but beyond that, this could be peak pessimism as far as fundamental analysis goes. So any kind of upgrade here would be like a good news. So basically, if we do put evidence together here for Boeing, okay, I do categorize this as a bit differently. I have put it under the mobile robots theme. I do think that's sort of like the essence of Boeing, as certainly looking into the future. What I did find a bit annoying is that they have not, so far, built any meaningful position when it comes to drones, transportation through drones. And also, I think that emergency services like search and rescue, paramedics, police, these kinds of services would benefit from having drones as well. So that's another business opportunity that currently they don't have. They have the whole defense thing, autonomous systems here. But yeah, so there are potential business opportunities here for Boeing. That would of course be bullish, but that's currently very hypothetical. The technical charts, we did see some support levels. It seems like the sellers, they are still rather active. We did see that with the accumulation distribution line, is that there is still a lot of selling. The fundamentals were quite pessimistic. The analyst price targets were some of the light. They were seeing a bit more light at the end of the tunnel, suggesting a bit of an upside. I guess the most bullish thing we did find was the seasonality. 75% of the time it closes higher than it opened. That's a lot. That's quite bullish. So yeah, I looking years into the future, I would say that I am bullish on Boeing, but it is a bit contingent on them, getting more exposure to the future of transportation. Looking at the coming months and weeks, I would lean speculatively bullish. Speculative, but it still is very early. There's a lot of doom and gloom when it comes to Boeing. But, the most successful investors, they keep saying the message, buy fear and sell greed.